Hi guys, this is Buska and welcome back to another video. We're going to be doing another top 10 songs video today. I wanted to do this one. I actually wanted to do this a couple days ago because I believe it was 2 days, yeah, 2 days ago, would have been Freddie Mercury's 75th birthday. Although he passed away, it'll be 30 years this year. So I figured, how about we do top 10 songs for Queen in honor of Freddie Mercury? And I am a huge Queen fan, as you all know. They have been a favorite band of mine for a long time, and they've been a top five band for me for a long time. And I wanted to do this in honor of Freddie's birthday, and I can't believe it's going to be 30 years this November since he passed away. November 24th, I think it was. Same day as Eric Carr, the second drummer from Kiss. A lot of great stuff from Queen, and one thing I really love about Queen is that, especially in their, well, not only in their early part of their career, but pretty much throughout the '70s and even later, they had a lot of genres and they would dip into a lot of different genres for certain people that would like, and it's kind of difficult. What is Queen? We know they're a rock band. But in the early part of their career, they're at the time pretty heavy metal, and then there are some, they had some progressive elements, even in the early part of their career and in the '70s. And then of course, Freddie and the rest of the band, they would dip into the more theatrical stuff, ergo A Night at the Opera. So there's a lot of great stuff from Queen, and they've been one of my favorite bands of all time. And this list was really, really painful to put. I will say, this was one of the most difficult lists I've had to do. I don't know if it was the most difficult. It is definitely one of them. So this list could pretty much change any day, if you ask me. And I knew what my number one was going to be, but we'll get there later. My list is basically going to dip into albums here and there because I pretty much like everything that the band has released, even some of the albums that weren't well praised by the general public that I even like. So here we go. Top 10 songs for Queen. Coming in at number 10 from the Sheer Heart Attack album, a great album, one of my favorite albums from them. Probably their first big hit. Well, they had a hit on the first album that I'll talk about later, but this song was pretty much what put them on the map, I guess, because they had two hits, one on the first album and on the second album as well. But this one was the most popular out of out of the three, I think. And this is a song that I never get tired of. If I hear it pop up on the radio, I'll listen to it because I love hearing it. Coming in at number 10 for me is Killer Queen from Sheer Heart Attack. I never get tired of it. I still really like listening to it, and I love Freddie's vocals on this song. I mean, Freddie Mercury's vocals in general. I mean, and when I think about it, Freddie was probably my favorite singer of all time from anyone. I mean, if he's not number one, he's easily in the top two or three. Along with Paul McCartney and any of the Beatles, obviously, because they're my favorite band of all time. But also, Steve Perry from Journey is a favorite singer of mine. Ronnie James Dio, late great metal singer. So a lot of great vocalists, Sammy Hagar as well. But I think Freddie Mercury for me is probably my number one favorite singer of all time. And for me, one of the greatest frontmen of all time as well. I mean, that guy knew how to perform on stage, and it's a shame we lost him way too soon. But I love his vocals on this song. I love Brian May's short but sweet guitar solo, and Brian May is such an underrated guitar player, or I should say, Dr. Brian May, because he's into astrophysics, and yeah, I love his guitar solo. Roger Taylor's slow and steady drumming, and John Deacon's bass is really great. And it's always been a favorite song of mine, and it had to make my list somewhere. So coming in at number 10 for me is Killer Queen off of Sheer Heart Attack. Coming in at number 9, same era, but we're going to go back to the first album. Another great album, one of the greatest debut albums of all time. I think when it comes to debut albums, this one doesn't really get a lot of talk, but it's one of my favorite debut albums of all time. And this song has always been a favorite Queen song of mine. It opens the album, and it was Well, this is one the popular song off this album. It does get airplay, radio airplay. It's a song I never get tired of, and I can put it on any day, and I'll always be happy. Coming in at number 9 for me is "Keep Yourself Alive" off the debut album. What a fantastic song! I love the opening guitar riff. It sounds like you're ready for something when you hear that guitar riff, and I love Roger's drumming as well. I love the drum solo from Roger. A great drum solo. Underrated drummer. One of my favorite drummers of all time. And I love Freddie's vocals. I love the lyrics. The lyrics in the chorus is great. I love that one section where Roger Taylor and Brian May trade vocals, and then it's back to Freddie singing. And this song really exemplifies what Queen can do, and they could pretty much do anything with any genre, I think. And this album, and the second album, and definitely the third album, probably the heaviest albums that this band has ever released. So if you're not into Queen, and if you're a heavy metal fan, and if you're tired of hearing the hits and whatnot, and if you haven't checked out the first three albums, I highly recommend you do. They're very heavy and they are fantastic. So coming in at number 9 for me is "Keep Yourself Alive." "Keep Yourself Alive" off of the self-titled debut album. Coming in at number 8, my number 8 and my number 7, they both go into each other, and kind of similar to when I did on another show. I had to include both of them on here because I can't include one without the other. And you all know what I'm talking about. They're two mega popular songs, probably the most. Well, I don't know about that because they have a lot of hits, so it's kind of difficult. But my number 8 is from News of the World, and as well as my number 7, News of the World, another fantastic album. And that, believe it or not, was the very first album I purchased with my own money, and money well spent because it turned out it played good, and I still have it. It still plays good. But coming in at number 8 is "We Are the Champions." I mean, that's a song I never get tired of. I actually avoid the radio, so that's why. Well, I mean, I listen to Sirius XM, but that's really all I listen to. If I listen to something that's not on my iPhone, if I don't listen to Apple Music, if I want to listen to Sirius XM, or if I want to listen to anything that's to a car or anything on the radio, I'd always aim for Sirius XM. And this song, "We Are the Champions," is just it's such a perfect song, and it's one of their more popular songs. I never get tired of it. I still really love it. And I know there are some people that are tired of it. I can understand that because it is one of their more popular songs, but it's an anthem. It really is. And I never get tired of it. And they would perform it live. It's incredible. Everyone knows the chorus. Everyone knows the lyrics. It's just a perfect song that you can, when you get into the chorus, you can just, sway your body like that. It's just a perfect song, and I've always loved it, and I never get tired of it. So coming in at number 8 for me is "We Are the Champions" off of News of the World, and coming in at number 7, you obviously know what that is. "We Will Rock You" from News of the World. I mean, that is an anthem that has to be played at every single sporting event because that's how it goes, and it gets every single. Even if you're not a Queen fan, you know the song, and every single person would sing that song. They would do the boom boom clap because that's how the song goes. And if you've seen the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, you know how it was made. And Brian May is such a genius how he came up with that. I think that was a fantastic way of how that song was formed because it spearheaded generations of again, even if you don't if you're not a Queen fan, if you don't listen to them, you know that song, and it's popular. It's stood the test of time, and it's still popular to this day. And I never get tired of it. Same thing with "We Are the Champions." I know some people would get tired of it, and granted, I can understand that, but yeah, it's just a song that I have always loved and never get tired of it. I love the guitar solo from Brian May as well, and the lyrics are, they're unforgettable because everyone knows them and loves them so well. So coming in at number 7 for me is "We Will Rock You" off of News of the World. Okay, coming in at number 6, gonna go years later into the 90s from the Innuendo album, a great album, one of my favorite albums from them, and it's the last song off that album, and the last song that was released on an album when Freddie Mercury was alive. And I'm talking about "The Show Must Go On" from Innuendo. I never get tired of that song. I mean, that is just, and I sound like a broken record saying I never get tired of this song because most of Queen's songs, most of the hits are, they tend to be overplayed. But like I mentioned before, I don't listen to the radio, but that's another story. But the show must go on. I mean, whether you're a fan of Queen or not, you can't deny the lyrics, and you could tell that Freddie was not doing well, and they stopped touring around A Kind of Magic, and then that was because of Freddie Mercury's decreasing health due to AIDS, and he was really not doing well. And the lyrics are great, and he puts on his one of if he doesn't put on his best performance on that song, it's one of his best performances because he sings to the top of his lungs on this song. Whenever I hear the end of that song where he sings the final vocal of where he says "show," and then I just get chills every time I hear that because and then, unfortunately, because that album was released in February of '91, if I can remember, and then a few short months later, he was gone. It was just like that. And then, if anyone remembers, he announced his death, or no, he announced his death. He announced that to the world that he had AIDS, and that was a day before he passed away. And everyone, when everyone found that out, they couldn't believe it. They had time. They needed to have time to digest that, and then I don't know if it was even 24 hours later, he just passed away. So it was really unfortunate, and we all miss Freddie to death. It's a shame. And what would happen if Freddie never passed away, and if Queen carried on with him? And I can't imagine what would happen if Freddie was still alive, because obviously John Deacon left. He's not even in the music industry anymore. Like after they did "No One But You, Only the Good Die Young," that tribute song that the three of them without Freddie, they made a song with Freddie, and after that, Deacon just left the music industry, and then Roger and Brian continued on with Paul Rogers from Bad Company and Free, and they've been with him for a long time, and then he left, and now they're with Adam Lambert, and they've been with Adam for quite a while lately. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while. But anyway, I just love The Show Must Go On. I think it has great guitar work from Brian May, a fantastic guitar solo, great drumming from Roger Taylor, and really underrated bass work from John Deacon, who I think is a really underrated bassist. And he turned 70 last month, which is hard to believe. But coming at number 6 for me is "The Show Must Go On." Just a classic song, and I originally a couple years ago when I was ranking Queen albums, I mentioned that "Innuendo" was my personal favorite Queen album. Over the years, I still love it. Don't get me wrong; it's still a masterpiece. I think as I've gotten older, I've liked the '70s stuff more, and maybe to an extent some of the '80s stuff. But I will always have a soft spot for Innuendo. I love that album so much, but I think some of the '70s stuff may have risen in recent years. But coming at number 6 for me is "The Show Must Go On" off of Innuendo. Just a classic song for a reason. I always love it. Okay, now we're down to the top 5. Coming in at number 5, "From a Day at the Races," another really great album, another really strong album. This has always been a favorite Queen song of mine, and it's it always had to make my list somewhere. Coming in at number 5 for me, and it features one of my favorite vocal performances from Freddie of all time, "Somebody to Love." I mean that. I mean, again, like I mentioned so many times before, I never get tired of it. I can still listen to it, and it's just a fantastic song. I love the vocal opening from Freddie and the rest of the band, and I love his piano work too. Many people think of Freddie as a vocalist and a frontman, but he's a really underrated pianist or keyboard player, and Somebody to Love it has great lyrics and a great song structure. And I love near the end of this song where they all sing "Find Me Somebody to Love." It's so cool. I just love it. They go from quiet to loud, and then they crescendo seconds later. And I love Freddie's vocal performance where he hits some real high notes, and then the rest of the song is fantastic, and it just ends perfectly. And yeah, it's one of their more popular songs, but I honestly never get tired of it, and it's always been a favorite song of mine, and I had to make my list somewhere. A great guitar solo from Brian May too, like I mentioned before, a criminally underrated guitar player. So coming in at number 5 for me is "Somebody to Love" off A Day at the Races. Coming in at number 4 from The Game, another great album. That was probably their most popular or most commercial album, I guess, because that album had quite a few hits on there, but it's still a classic album nonetheless. This song had to make my top 10. It's always been a favorite of mine. I actually didn't know where this was going to fall on my list because there were I had actually my top 3 were pretty much set, and the rest of the list was actually pretty difficult to do. And I think this is going to sit at number 4 for a while because I can't deny the genius of it. Even though it is overplayed, I still love it a lot. I never get tired of it, as I mentioned before. And it's got one of the most iconic bass lines of all time, and one of my favorite written songs by John Deacon. And of course, you know what I'm talking about from The Game. Coming in at number 4, Another One Bites the Dust. I mean, how can you not get tired of that song? I mean, from that bass line alone, how can you not get hooked by that? And great lyrics. Probably my favorite John Deacon written song. That's a really great. Yeah, I think he's a really great lyricist, and all 4 of them contributed the lyrics. All 4 of them have really great lyrics that are really great. And this song is just legendary. I mean, I don't even know if I need to say anything else because it's a classic song. I love Freddie's vocals. I love the break where it's just Roger's drums and then Freddie just randomly, singing random stuff, and then they get back into the music. And I think Roger Taylor's drumming on that song, even though it's simplistic, it is really catchy. I mean, I remember playing that for the first time, even on drums, even though it's this, hi hat and snare drum and bass drum. I remember playing that for the first time. I always thought you had to swing your hand on the hi hat, kind of like what Ringo did, because he always did he always swung his wrist on the hi hat. And of course, I never learned my lesson with these notifications. I need a I will try to remember to turn them off while I'm recording. I never learn. I don't know why. Anyway, that's off topic. Another One Bites the Dust is just a classic song from start to finish. It never gets old for me. Coming in at number 4 for me is Another One Bites the Dust off of The Game. Okay, so my top three are pretty much set. This was the easy part of the list. And these 3 songs have been favorites of mine for a long time, as long as I can remember. Coming in at number 3, talking about classic bass lines. This song is from the Hot Space album. Not a critically acclaimed album. That was one of their more, less successful albums. This was, and a lot of Queen fans say that is easily the worst Queen album. There are no good songs on that album, with the exception of this one. Because if you're a Queen fan and if you do not like the Hot Space album at all, chances are you're most likely love this song, and it's a big hit off this album, and it has a great bass line from John Deacon, and it's just a song that I never get tired of, and I absolutely love it. And when I hear it today, I kind of get emotional because it features not only Freddie Mercury, obviously because he's the frontman of the band, but it also has another favorite vocal performance of mine from one of my favorite musicians who passed away a couple of years ago. Coming in at number 3 from Hot Space is Under Pressure. I mean, that is just a song that I honestly do get kind of emotional to this day because I miss Freddie Mercury, I miss David Bowie, two stars that were taken away from us way too soon. And I love David Bowie's. I think they made a great choice because if they didn't have David Bowie sing on this song, I don't know if it would be as iconic. Because I'm a big David Bowie fan too. I love David Bowie stuff. And Under Pressure, from that iconic bass line to great vocals from Freddie and David. I love when David and Freddie trade vocals. And I love the guitar in the background and the drums. And the lyrics are really great too. I mean, what are they about? I have no idea, but they're delivered perfectly. And I especially love the tribute to Freddie when Brian, Roger, and John had David Bowie on to do Under Pressure. They also brought Annie Lennox of Eurythmics in, and there are times where I get emotionally moved from that because it's just so perfect. And I think David and Annie did a great job on that version of the song. It's just great. So coming in at number 3 for me is Under Pressure from Hot Space. All right, the top two. Now the top two, you probably know they're both big hits. One of them is a huge hit that I know most people, if they never heard it again, they would be completely fine with. And the other one is another popular hit, which is not as overplayed as one of them. So coming in at number 2, even though this is one of the most overplayed songs of all time, I absolutely never get tired of it. I can still listen to this song from start to finish any day of the week. I absolutely love everything about it. And it's from the Night at the Opera album, which is a fantastic album from start to finish. I absolutely loved it. Coming in at number 2 for me, from A Night at the Opera, is their masterpiece, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, that's just, it just doesn't get much better than that. And I know there are a lot of people who never need to hear that song again because it's overplayed. And while I understand that it's overplayed, it's while I understand it's overplayed, I personally never get tired of it. I love the vocal performance, the vocal opening from the four of the guys. I love the piano work from Freddie, and I absolutely love the under the underrated bass from John Deacon as well. And then they get into the song where Roger starts drumming, and it's just perfectly delivered well. And then when they get to that fantastic guitar solo from Brian May, one of the reasons why he's one of the greatest guitar players of all time, in my opinion, that guy is just really underrated, and he's just a creative and innovative guitar player who has a very distinct tone that I don't think any guitar player, guitar player. I'm not a guitar player, so I don't know everything about guitar, but whenever what I hear, I really like, and I love the tone of Brian May's guitar. He has a very distinct tone that not a lot of guitar players have, and I think that Brian May's guitar tone is one of the greatest guitar tones I've ever heard, and I absolutely love the guitar solo on there. One of my favorite guitar solos of all time. I never get tired of it, and he has a lot of great guitar solos as well, and he's just fantastic on this song. And then, of course, they go into the operatic section, which we all know and love, and it's just a perfect song from start to finish. And then we get into the heavy rampaging part of the song, and then, of course, if you know the movie Wayne's World, they start headbanging in the scene. And one of the funniest things that I've found that I've just discovered, I watched the Bohemian Rhapsody movie a couple weeks ago, and I realized that Mike Myers was in both Wayne's World and Bohemian Rhapsody, and when he was debating what single of Night at the Opera should be there, the band suggested Bohemian Rhapsody. He suggested I'm in love with my car, and then John Reed, their manager, suggested You're My Best Friend. When he suggested I'm in love with my car, he said that's a song that teenagers can crank in the car and headbang to. And then he said Bohemian Rhapsody will never be that song, and I always thought that was just hilarious. And that was such a funny scene in the movie. If you haven't seen that movie, and if you're a Queen fan, I highly recommend it. And I love Freddie's vocals at the end of the song, and I love the gong from Roger Taylor that I have always loved. With, and they end the vocal with "Any Way the Wind Blows," and then Roger Taylor's gong. Just a perfect masterpiece from start to finish that I never get tired of. So coming in at number 2 is Bohemian Rhapsody from The Night the Opera. But there's only one song left. I know some people are probably thinking, that's not his number 1, what's his number 1? Well, there's a lot of hits from Queen, and, there's a lot to choose from. My number 1 is a hit for them. It was a pretty big hit. It's always been my favorite Queen song since the first time I heard it. I just love every second to it. I love Freddie's vocals. I love the drums from Roger Taylor. I love Brian May's guitar solo, and I love John Deacon's bass. For me, it's just a perfect song from start to finish. Coming at number 1 from the Jazz album, an album that I always liked, but I've grown to love it even more as I've gotten older. And coming at number 1 for me from Jazz, Don't Stop Me Now. I can listen to that song on repeat and never get tired of it. I just love everything about it. It's one of the more popular songs. Maybe it tends to get a lot of airplay from the radio, but I just absolutely love it. I love the lyrics of the song. It's just unforgettable, and it's a great sing along song and a great driving song as well, and a great video too. Even though it's them playing the song live, it's just a great song that I have always loved and will never get tired of. It's, for me, one of the most unforgettable songs that this band has ever made. They made a lot of unforgettable songs, as we all know, but there's something about Don't Stop Me Now that has always clicked with me, and it's my number 1 favorite Queen song. So coming at number 1 for me is Don't Stop Me Now from Jazz. Alright, I'm going to show you my list, and then we will go to honorable mentions. It's sunny outside. I'm trying to get the glare out of the window. Okay, so there's my list, and I will go through my lengthy list of honorable mentions because as someone who's a huge fan of this band, I have a lot to say, but I'll try to go fast. And I kind of went long here, but hey, I'll try to go fast. So honorable mentions. I'm trying to speak. When you talk fast and you're on the spot recording, it's not easy. So from the self-titled debut. Doing All Right is a great song. I absolutely love that. Great King Rat, another favorite of mine. My Fairy King is great. I love Liar. I really wanted that in my top 10. That is one of the heaviest things this band has ever made. Modern Times Rock and Roll, great vocal from Roger Taylor, and Son and Daughter. Actually, Son and Daughter is one of the heaviest songs off of this album, and that first album is really, really heavy, and it's one of the heaviest things to come out of the early 70s, in my opinion. I can say that for basically their first couple albums, but I love the self-titled debut, one of the greatest debut albums of all time. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. So, from Queen 2, Queen 2 is one of the greatest albums this band has ever made, and like what I alluded to before with Innuendo, I think as I've gotten older and as the years have gone by, I've appreciated the '70s albums more as I've gotten older, and it's kind of overpassed Innuendo, but I still love it. And not only out of the '70s albums, but I think out of their entire catalog, Queen 2 is probably my favorite Queen album of all time. I love every single song. I just think it's not a concept album, but it's loosely inspired by a concept album. Ironically, the twist of I don't know if it's really a twist, but the thing that happened in my list, not a single song from Queen 2 made my top 10, which is very strange. And I felt bad because every single song is so perfect. It's just from start to finish, every single song. So I love Procession and Father to Son. They both go together. A great way to open the album. White Queen As It Began. I love that song. That is a great song. Someday, One Day. One of my favorite Brian May vocal songs of all time. I absolutely love it. The Loser in the End. Great Roger Taylor vocal. For me, side 2 of this thing is one of their perfect sides. Opening with Ogre Battle for side 2, or side black, I guess, because side 1 was side white and side 2 was side black. Ogre Battle is one of the heaviest songs this band has ever made. I absolutely love that. I really wanted that in my top 10. But it unfortunately did not make my top 10. The Fairy Feller's Masterstroke is really great. Nevermore is really good. And probably my favorite song off the album that just missed the top 10, The March of the Black Queen. What I mean, first of all, that song is pretty haunting, and just I mean, musically, it's fantastic. Lyrically, however, it hasn't really aged well. You know, it hasn't really aged well in the past couple of years. But forget the lyrics for a minute. Just musically, it's fantastic. I love that the one part of the song where Freddie and Roger trade vocals. It's just so good. I love that. So I really want to March the Black Queen in my top 10, but it's probably my number 11. It might be my number 11. I don't know. I absolutely love that. Funny How Love is really great. And Seven Seas of Rye, that's also probably the popular song off that album that I really love and I felt bad not including. So that's probably in the top 15 as well because that's a great song. From Sheer Heart Attack, more great stuff from Sheer Heart Attack. Another really heavy album. I really wanted Brighton Rock in my top 10. I absolutely love Freddie's vocal performance on the song. I love the instrumental break of the song with fantastic guitar solo from Brian May, great drumming from Roger Taylor. Just they are just unspeakably good at that point. So Brighton Rock is I really wanted in my top 10. I love Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Lily of the Valley. They all go together. Especially Flick of the Wrist, one of the heaviest songs that band has ever made. It's just so dirty and really heavy. And when they get into Freddie singing, you really just start to bang your head slowly. It's just great. And Dream Theater actually did a really good cover of Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Lily of the Valley. All three of those songs. That was on the special edition of the Black Clouds and Silver Linings album from 2009. If you haven't, that was a bonus disc of the album. They did a bunch of covers. If you haven't heard that, if you're a Dream Theater fan, I highly recommend it. They did a great job in that. I really wanted Now I'm Here in my top 10. I absolutely love that. Another one of their more popular songs. I love it. In the Lap of the Gods is really great. I love Stone Cold Crazy. And in fact, Stone Cold Crazy is probably the heaviest song this band has ever made. They made a lot of heavy songs, especially in their early part of their career, but man, Stone Cold Crazy is just really fast. And as we know, Metallica did a great job covering that. They did a fantastic job, actually, but there's something about the original that's really great. I absolutely love it. Dear Friends is really great. Misfire, I really like John Deacon's writing debut. I love Bring Back That Leroy Brown. It's one of the silliest things the band has ever made, but I absolutely love it. She Makes Me, Stormtrooper, and Stilettos is really good. Great vocal from Brian May. And I love In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. I actually like it even more than the regular In the Lap of the Gods, which is really great, but I love the revisited version of it. So yeah, I felt bad not including a lot of stuff from Sheer Heart Attack. Only Killer Queen made my top 10, but there's so many great songs that this band has made, and you can't fit everything, sadly. From the Night at the Opera, again, I felt bad not including a lot of stuff from the Night at the Opera, but from the Night at the Opera, Death on Two Legs, dedicated to ... one of the heaviest songs the band has ever made. One of the angriest songs this band has ever made. First of all, that majestic piano opener from Freddie Mercury. One of the reasons why he's an unsung piano player. And then it gets to this heavy riff from Brian May, and it kind of sounds like, and then it sounds like you hear sirens in the background, but that's really his guitar. And then the song just gets angrier you could tell in Freddie's vocals he was really angry, and that was written about their former manager who didn't really. From what I heard, I think he didn't really. He kind of abused them in a way, and or I don't know, maybe that was a metaphor for something that maybe the record deal wasn't taking them seriously or something like that. I don't know what was happening. I watched a program, classic albums of A Night at the Opera, and they went track by track through that program, and they explained the writing behind every song. But Death on Two Legs is great. Even the silly, quirky stuff like Blazing on a Sunday Afternoon, it's so weird, but I love it. I really, you know what? I don't care if I get flack. I really like "I'm in Love with My Car." Right? I know the bands, the rest of the band didn't think it was great, and Roger wanted to, he wanted to write a song, he wanted to sing. Regardless of whether the band liked it or not, I think it's great. I really love it. Not only because he's a drummer and because I'm a drummer, not just because I'm saying that, but I also think he's a great vocalist. I know a lot of people, they obviously think of Freddie Mercury as a vocalist, and to an extent Brian May for having that nice, calm, gentle vocal style. But I think Roger Taylor has a really great vocal performance. I really like "I'm in Love with My Car," even though a lot of people kind of trash it, but I always loved it. "You're My Best Friend," another classic song, one of the more popular songs, a fantastic John Deacon written song. I felt bad not including that in my top 10, so that got to be in the top 15 as well. I love 39, Brian May's written song and vocal song 39. I think it's so good. Sweet Lady is really great. Again, even the silly stuff, Seaside Rendezvous, it's so silly, it's so weird, but I still love it. I really wanted the Prophet song in my top 10. That pained me to leave it out of my top 10. And again, we're going to do this all the time. It may be in my top 15. I don't know. I really love the Prophet song, and it's just so good. I absolutely love it. Love of My Life. One of the most gorgeous songs I have ever heard, and fantastic vocal performance from Freddie Mercury. Good Company is really great, and God Save the Queen. No, not the Sex Pistols song, the the closer, which is it's My Country, 'Tis of Thee. In America, it's My Country, 'Tis of Thee. In the UK, it's God Save the Queen. That's basically what it is. But I know I'm including basically the entire album, but I can't help it. From A Day at the Races. A Day at the Races is a really great album, but honestly, I think out of all the 70s albums, that one, for whatever reason, has always been my least favorite album from the 70s. I still love it. I think it's a great album, but let's be honest. They released pretty much no bad material in the 70s because there are no. They could do you no wrong in the 70s. And even later on, I love Tie Your Mother Down, one of the heaviest songs I've ever made. I love that. The Millionaire Waltz. I think what they wanted to do with the Millionaire Waltz, they wanted to do a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody. And obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody, is, it overshadows everything else, or pretty much, well, mostly everything that they've done because it's really their popular song. And the Millionaire Waltz, I think they wanted to do a sequel to it. I think it honestly should have been a big hit. I really love the Millionaire Waltz. White Man is really good too. Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy is really good too. That was another semi hit for the band. Tio Toriade, Let Us Cling Together. That was actually played for the 2021 Olympics in Tokyo this year, and when they played when they played Tio Toriade, I got all excited. I was like, oh wow, they're playing a deep cut from Queen, and that's really an ode or a tribute to their Japanese fans because they really loved going to Japan. So that was from A Day at the Races. From News of the World, the title track to a previous album, Sheer Heart Attack. I don't know why they did that. And that was kind of a punk song in a way, because at the time, that was when, the Ramones and, the Sex Pistols and the Clash and, the Stooges and the MC5, and now that predates, the MC5 and the Stooges and, the New York Dolls. They were kind of the godfathers of punk, and then you had the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and the Clash and many other punk bands to name, but Sheer Heart Attack really is a fast punk song. All Dead is a great song. That was a song about Brian May's cat who passed away. That's actually pretty sad, but it's a great song. I love Spread Your Wings. Spread Your Wings. Okay, I know I've said this is my number 11 in my top 15. Spread Your Wings is probably most likely my number 11. I love that. That is such a underrated song. I don't know why that wasn't a hit. That should have been a huge hit for them, I think. Fight from the Inside is really great. Get Down, Make Love. 9 Inch Nails did a really good cover of that. Sleeping on the Sidewalk's really great. Who Needs You, another really great song. It's Late is fantastic. I love that. And My Melancholy Blues is great. From jazz, I felt bad not including a lot from jazz. And you know what? Even though it's so weird, it's a weird album opener. I love Mustafa. That is such a, it's such a weird, it's a weird way to open the album. I know for some fans it's genius, and for other fans it's, it's kind of weird. But I always kind of liked Mustafa. I love Fat Bottom Girls. I felt bad not including that in my top 10. Jealousy. Jealousy is a really great song. Bicycle Race, another legendary anthem for them. I really wanted that in my top 10. If You Can't Beat Them is really great. I love that, underrated. Let Me Entertain You is one of the heaviest songs the band has ever made. I love Freddie's vocal performance on that. And I think there was a video of them playing live, and that was most of the time where Freddie would put out he would wear the police uniform, if you remember that. But I love Let Me Entertain You. Dead on Time is really great. I love that. In Only 7 Days is one of my favorite vocal performances from Freddie. I love that song as I get older. I love it a lot. Dreamer's Ball is great. Fun It is really cool. That's probably one of the weaker songs off the album. I still really like it. Leaving Home Ain't Easy is really good, and More of That Jazz is really great as well. From the game, I love Play the Game. I felt bad not including that. Dragon Attack is a great song. That is a really heavy song for them at the time, and they had a lot of heavy songs, as you know, and Dragon Attack is really one of their heaviest songs. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Again, it may be overplayed. I never get tired of it. I love it. Don't Try Suicide is great. Sail Away, Sweet Sister, and Save Me is one of my favorites as well. Okay, so from the Flash Gordon soundtrack, Flash Gordon is probably my least favorite Queen album just because it's a soundtrack, but honestly, it's not that bad. I actually like listening to it from time to time. I have it on CD. I have the movie. The movie is so bad, but it's awesome at the same time. There are times where movies are so cheesy, they're filled with cheese, and they're really corny. But I have a soft spot for cheesy movies. And first of all, Flash's theme is great, and I include some instrumentals in the Space Capsule. Is great. I really love that. Football Fight is incredible. I play that every time the Super Bowl is around, and there's probably one, maybe two, maybe three, or other people that get that reference because that's a Queen song. In the Death Cell, the Love theme reprise is really great. Execution of Flash is nice. Arborea, even though that's some people's least favorite instrumentals from them, I don't mind it. Flash to the Rescue is pretty good. Volton's theme, that's actually a really great instrumental. Battle theme is really great. I love Crash Dive on Mingo City. And The Hero is fantastic. That's one of the most underrated songs they ever made. And I wish that was a big hit for them because that was a great song. From Hot Space. Hot Space, like I mentioned before, not one of their more popular albums, but I honestly don't mind it. Yeah, it's one of my least favorite Queen albums, but I don't mind it. I really like Staying Power, right? Even though, that's when they were kind of getting into the disco stage. Back Chat is really cool. I like that. Action This Day is a really great song. Put Out the Fire is really great. I really like that. Life is Real song for Lennon is really great as well. That's a favorite of mine, a tribute to John Lennon, who passed away 2 years prior. Calling All Girls, as cheesy as it is, it's kind of fun. And I really like Las Palabras de Amor, The Words of Love is great. As long as you forget Body Language, then, for me, take off Body Language, take off Cool Cat. I'm not a huge fan of that. And, Dancer's not my thing. Take those three songs off, and then you have, somewhat a decent album. I don't mind that album. I think it does have its moments. From the Works, I felt bad not including anything from the Works. That's a really strong album. Radio Gaga was a song that was in my top 10 and got kicked out. That's, again, probably in the top 15. Easily top 20. I love that. That's one of my favorite songs from the 80s that they released. Tear It Up is really great. That's one of the heaviest songs. After Hot Space, which for most people was a complete letdown, Tear It Up was a revitalized version of their early sound where they're really heavy. It's a Hard Life is really great. Man on the Prowl, again, kind of silly, but but it's pretty cool. I Want to Break Free is great, and they had that really silly video where they were dressed up in drag, but it was pretty funny. And I remember when I first saw that video, that's all I can remember. And then they went, and then I saw the video couple years later. The only thing I remember from that video was them wearing women's clothing, and then I went into the rest of the video, and then I was thinking, I don't remember any of this in the video, because then the video got even weirder. But that was Freddie. He liked doing that kind of stuff. So I Want to Break Free is great, and I love Hammer to Fall. Hammer to Fall might actually be, well, Radio Gaga I said was my favorite on the album, but Hammer to Fall is really close. I love that. And even better on the Live Aid concert that they did. From A Kind of Magic, I love One Vision. That's another great song. I love the title track, A Kind of Magic. Friends Will Be Friends is really great. Who Wants to Live Forever? It really gets me emotional whenever I hear it. I love that. Give Me the Prize Curtains theme is really great. And Princes of the Universe is a great way to close the album. From The Miracle is another really strong album. I like the title track a lot. I Want It All is really great. That's probably my favorite song off that album. I love that. The Invisible Man is really great. Kind of weird, but I really like that. Breakthrough is a really good song. Indigestion. Rain Must Fall is really cool. I like that. Scandal is really cool. I like that. And Was It All Worth It is, for me, one of the more underrated songs. I really love that. From Innuendo, I love the title track, and I love the flamenco guitar solo from Steve Howe of Yes. I absolutely love Innuendo, and I really want that in my top 10. I'm Going Slightly Mad is really great. Headlong is a favorite of mine. I've had that in my head for the past few days. That's just a catchy song. I Can't Live With You is great. Don't Try So Hard is really fun. That's a really actually, when you think about that musically it's kind of somber, but it's a really, really great song. Ride the Wild Wind is really great. All God's People, another favorite of mine. These Are the Days of Our Lives is a favorite song of mine. Whenever I see that video, you can tell that Freddie did not look like Freddie. He didn't really look good at the time, because his health was getting worse, sadly, at the time. But I love These Are the Days of Our Lives. Delilah, it's a silly song. It's about his cat Delilah. Freddie was a cat lover. Now, this is what would happen if Freddie Mercury was alive. If he had social media, well, actually, the estate run by Freddie Mercury, Freddie Mercury's estate runs the account. It's verified. If Freddie Mercury was alive and if he was controlling his own social media, nothing but cat videos or cat pictures. That's what it would be. That's all that, because you could tell that's what Freddie does. And even to an extent, Rob Halford from Judas Priest, he posts a lot of cat photos on his social media, but they're both cat lovers, cat dads, I guess you could call it. But Delilah's a silly song, but hey, I love cats, and it's a silly song. And some of the lyrics are kind of silly. You pee all over my Chippendale suite. That's kind of weird, but hey, that's what Freddie said. Even though his cat Delilah does things that she shouldn't, he still loves Delilah. So kind of a touching song to cats. The Hitman is a really heavy song. I like that a lot. And Bijou is a really great song. I love Brian May's guitar on that song, and it kind of reminds me of John Petrucci's guitar tone from Dream Theater in a way. So Bijou is a great song, and for Made in Heaven, their final album, even though Innuendo really probably should have been their final album, I do like Made in Heaven. There's some good songs. I like It's a Beautiful Day. Made in Heaven, the title track is great. I love that. I Was Born to Love You is a favorite of mine. Heaven for Everyone is great. Too Much Love Will Kill You is gorgeous. I think that song is also another emotional tugger of a song. I really love it. You Don't Fool Me is really great, and It's a Beautiful Day Reprise is really great. So there's my lengthy list of honorable mentions. I'm going to end the video soon, but here's my list one more time. I show my video twice per video, because just in case if you forgot, that's what my list had to offer. And I'm going to have a drink soon, because my voice is getting tiring from talking. But happy Rosh Hashanah for if you're Jewish. Happy Rosh Hashanah if you're celebrating it. Happy Labor Day from yesterday. And hope you guys enjoyed this long weekend that you guys experienced. Hopefully, I'll be able to make more videos. So this top 10 songs video was in honor of Freddie Mercury, who would have been 75 2 days ago. I would have, I think it was 2 days ago. Yeah, it must have been 2 days ago. It was on the 5th, I think it was. Another anniversary in music history. On this day in 1978, Keith Moon from The Who passed away. I'd love to do top 10 songs on The Who. Maybe I'll do that one day. And actually, now that I think of it, next year will be the 20th anniversary of the death of the Ox, John Entwistle. So you know what, that actually might be a perfect time. Although I have to wait because that was 2002. That was pretty early in the year, but you know what? The early part of next year is coming soon. This year's flying by. But anyway, that was my top 10 songs for Queen. Let me know what your favorite songs are in the comment section below. And yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Please leave a like, comment if you want, view my videos, and of course subscribe. And ring the bell for daily notifications. Thanks for watching this video, guys. This has been Helbuska, signing off. Stay safe, take care, get on your bikes and ride.